spoke about the liberal values of the society and the respect and liberties given to our women. I will come to that question now, which is also very, very important as far as the looking back at Kashmir civilization is concerned. What are the reasons for the phenomenal appeal of the works, or what you call verse sayings, of Kashmir's most celebrated mystic poetess, Laleshwari, or whom we lovingly call Lal Ded? And she lived 700 years before us. Connected question is, why is she regarded as the greatest icon, one of the greatest, if not the greatest icons of Kashmir's literature and culture? This is point number 2. And third question is also related with it, because this is because the time when she was born and she lived, it was a Kashmir was, you know, the kind of turmoil that was going on in Kashmir. Was she actually influenced by Sufi missionaries like Sayyid Ali Hamdani and become a precursor of Rishi order founded by Sheikh Nuruddin Nurani? Or did she influence Sufi saints through Sheikh Nuruddin, or whom we call Nundarishi? Now, these are 3 connected questions. Please take it on.
Well, first of all, I would like to tell you that it is the fusion of the saint and poet in Laleshwari that accounts for her immense hold on the psyche of Kashmiri people. She was not just a saint, she was also a poet. To quote Dilip Chitre, who has written on Tukaram, he has talked about, said this about Tukaram, but it applies to Laleshwari also. And Laleshwari was certainly as outstanding as Tukaram. So, forget कर दिया. एक सेकंड, एक बार इधर क्यों दे दीजिए, भूल गया मैं. एक सेकंड. नहीं, आप मुझे बोलिए मैं क्या बोल रहा था, मैं आगे चलूंगा.
You were comparing her to Saint Tukaram, and you had mentioned that what he had said, and you were relating it to Lal Ded.
So what Lal Ded, the greatness of Lal Ded lies that while she is quintessentially Kashmiri, essentially Kashmiri, she embodies the values and ideals that can be defined as basically Kashmiri, that form the bedrock of Kashmiri culture. While it is that, she has also a universal appeal. It is because of her understanding of the human condition. It is because she had she looked with immense compassion at the sufferings of the human beings, human individuals. As we call that, it was her anguish and angst at existential conditions, existential situation that was responsible and that appeals to everyone. Although she was rooted in regional culture, although she was rooted in Kashmiri culture, this was her universal human concerns are also one of the more important reasons for her wide appeal, not only through in Kashmir, but she is also regarded as I think she is the best known literary figure of Kashmir, outside Kashmir, even in the Western world. She is a towering personality. Because she is an integral part of Kashmiri culture. So this, and besides that, what I wanted to stress is that because of being a why do we call her a part of Kashmiri culture, or why do we call her the greatest Kashmiri cultural icon? Because it was a time, as you said, of great turmoil. It was a time of civilizational clash. So at that time, she 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 knew and she understood and she represented the basic idiom of Kashmiri civilization and Kashmiri culture, and tried to save the continuity of Kashmiri belief systems, indigenous belief systems, and indigenous culture, the structures of indigenous belief systems, the structures of indigenous culture from totally collapsing and breaking by presenting the essence of Kashmir Shaivism to the people in their own language. Not that, see, there's another illusion that is being deliberately created, that Lal Dad, you see, was great only because she wrote in Kashmiri. That's not the question. It was just on the cusp of, she was just on the cusp of what we call the vernacular revolution in Kashmir, when the Kashmiri language was being made. And in fact, she was the one who was doing all this, was being made as the basis of forging a new Kashmir, indigenous Kashmiri personality. Kashmiri language was being made the basis. I mean, this was what she was trying, because she was the mother tongue of Kashmiris. So
Okay.
she was trying to do this.
What about the other part which
The other part is most important. It is as A.Q. Rafiki has said in his book on Sufism in Kashmir, 15th to 16th centuries, or perhaps 14th to 16th
Okay.
century. He has very clearly said that all this, the stories about her meeting this Sayyid
Sayyid Ali
Ali
Hamdani?
Shah Hamdani, and then being she influenced by him and becoming his murid khas, is just a concoction. It is A.Q. Rafiki saying it, because they all it had an agenda behind it.
Correct.
The agenda was to see try to consider. It was based on the agenda of spreading of Islam, and obviously, and it was said that she was influenced and became a convert to Islam, while she has not used for a single time the word Allah. She has not used for a single in a single verse any terminology, Sufi terminology, and it is impossible to understand her works. Just imagine, she calls her verse vak.
Wow.
Vak, vak means, see, it's a Sanskrit term, it's a Shaivite term again. Vak is speech. The word, the highest word is paravak.
Speak about Lal then.
Yeah, the basic thing is that Ali Shah Hamdani came to Kashmir in 1381 or 82. And the theory that he came to Kashmir 4 times is a myth. So he never came to Kashmir 4 times or three. He came to Kashmir once in 1381 or so, when Laleshwari, who had already passed away in 1373 in the reign of an earlier Sultan of Kashmir. So it was practically impossible for her to have ever had a meeting with Hamdani. And it's as Rafiki says, it's all a the concoction is his word. It's all a concoction that he met her, and then the events of this. She was moving around in the nude, and then she suddenly saw Hamdani. And when she saw Hamdani, she said that she has seen a man, and then she tried to hide herself. First, she went to the grocer. Then she went to the bakers and jumped into the blazing oven. The myth, the story, the fable of the oven, the miracle of the oven is the greatest insult to Kashmiri womanhood. Laleshwari, how could, I mean, first of all, there was no chance of the two having ever met. As I said, that she passed away in 1373, or around 1373. And he came to Kashmir for the first time in 1381 or so. And he didn't come again. Rafiki writes, and Rafiki is an authority on Rishi cult and Kashmir Sufism. So there was no question of her having jumped into the. It is just to show the prove the hegemony of Ali Shah Hamdani and therefore Islam. Actually, what happened is, see, I told you that there is no reference to Islam, there is no reference to Allah, there is no reference to any Sufi terminology, though Grierson and some other Western scholars have tried their best to show that they had a connection, and they went to an extent of ridiculous extents. They said, for instance, she has written one of her verses, Shivva Keshava Jinva. Whether you call him Shiv, whether you call the supreme reality Keshav, or whether you call him Jin. If somebody takes away my worldly sickness, I will be thankful to him. So this, I mean, this is the crux. It's not the exact translation. But what Shiv said, that Shiv va Keshav va Jina, he be, whether he be he, or he or he. So this he, Jin, they said Jin is a reference to Muhammad. Imagine it, how can Jin means either Mahavir or the Buddha, because they had conquered themselves in their own selves. They had conquered their lower appetites. They had conquered their lower sensibilities. That's why Buddha had an illuminated and enlightened soul. So Jinn, how can Jinn be Muhammad? I mean, they have gone to such a ridiculous extent. So this thing, as he said, this is all an attempt to prove the hegemony of Ali Shah Hamdani and thereby Islam. The fact is, as Rafiki points out, that it was Laleshwari who influenced the saints of Islam through her influence on Sheikh Nuruddin. And
I was
Sheikh
coming to that.
Nuruddin
That part you can now deal with.
he has accepted and admitted to that influence in one of his most well-known verses, that Laleshwari is our avatar. Oh, oh God, please grant me the same boon that I also am able to drink the ambrosia of truth as she did. The Amrit Gale Gale. She took drought upon drought of ambrosia, ambrosia of spiritual truth, ambrosia of spiritual realization of deeper truth of life. So he craves for it. And Rafiki says actually he is sort of envious that he has influenced her, and through her she influenced all the entire Rishi cult who were Muslims. And this Sheikh Nuruddin is known to have spread Islam in a different manner with the help of his Rishi order. So, it is, as Rafiqi says, it was she who influenced Sheikh Nuruddin and thereby the other Sufi saints, the other Rishi saints, you see, through her verses. And so many verses of hers are actually have been appropriated to Sheikh Nuruddin. They have been attributed to Sheikh Nuruddin. There are about 35 verses of Laldad which are attributed to different people, including Sheikh Nuruddin. While they are not theirs, they have been written by, they have been composed by Lalleshwari. So this, the whole this miracle of oven is a myth, is an insult to Kashmiri womanhood, and it is an impossibility in time because it could have never occurred, never taken place. Besides, a greater part of Lalleshwari's life did not pass in Islamic, under Islamic rule. I mean, of her youth, of her earlier life. Because she is still the husband of Kotarani, what was her Uday or something.
Shamir,
No,
Rinchen,
Shamir.
Rinchen, Ramchandra.
No, her husband's brother, original husband's brother. So whatever her name, Udayan or something, I don't remember her name. So the thing is that she was still, see, much of her early childhood passed under the rule of Kota Rani or her husband. That was Hindu rule. And besides that, apart from that, it may not have. The question is, what about the terminology, what about the philosophy, what about the doctrine of Kashmir Shaivism that you find in each and every of her works, of her works? It is impossible to understand Lalleshwari if you do not understand the framework within which they have been composed. And the framework, as I said, was the Turko philosophy or the philosophy of Kashmir Shaivism, which considers universal Shaivism as the supreme power in the world, the supreme subject.
Dr. Saab, thank you so much for shedding light on, she's a saint poetess and one of the most revered figures of Kashmir, particularly for us. I would shift you away from this conversation to another topic, and that is the book that you have written, Rites and Rituals of Kashmiri Pandits. Can you throw some lights on the fundamental features of religious rites and rituals of Kashmiri Pandits and Kashmiri Hindus, I should say, not Pandits? And in what way are they either similar or they differ from the pan-Hindu rituals of rest of the country? There is a connected question I have seen that you have also mentioned in your book, which I was referring to just now, that whether it is Janmashtami or it is Shivratri or some other big religious functions that we celebrate all over the country, you have Kashmiri Pandits celebrate one day earlier. Can you throw some light on all these things?
Sir, I have mentioned this aspect very clearly and in very lucid terms why Kashmiri Pandits celebrated or celebrate Shivratri and Janmashtami one day earlier than other Hindus do. But the basic point is not this. The basic point is, what is a ritual? What do you call a ritual? I am going to read from my own definition. Yes, I have a notebook here. I am reading from this notebook. What is a ritual? Rituals can be described. Rituals can be described as established patterns of religious activity embedded in the consciousness of a people, seeking to link the mundane or natural reality to the divine and transnatural. They combined in their structure mental, physical, and verbal actions which assume symbolic character, giving the whole meaning and significance through invocation of the sacred and the transcendental beyond what every natural process can give it. So, what is the Kashmiri Hindus, so far as they are concerned, the fundamental features of the Kashmiri Hindu ritual behavior, of the Kashmiri Hindu ritual conduct, is not different, not at all different from what it is seen to be in the rest part of the remaining part of the country, in Hindus living in other parts of the country. It's the basic constituents, the basic features are same, absolutely the same. But there is a room for what they call lokachar, that means regional practices and customs, which is apart from the basic features. So what are the basic features? What kind of rituals do do Hindus celebrate? These rituals can be divided mainly into two parts, though Jayant Burde divides them into four parts. First of all, there are the life cycle rituals. Passage of when one is born, then one becomes a child, then one grows, and one marries. These are life cycle rituals or passage of rite rituals. And these are biological. What rituals do is, according to this Professor Daya Krishnan, a great philosopher, modern Indian philosopher, rituals transform the biological cycle into the cultural cycle. Animals do not celebrate. Animals do not have any expression of their joy when they have a newborn. But what a newborn, when there's a new child born to a human family, there are ceremonies, there are expressions to celebrate, there are rituals which give expression to the great pleasure, to the great joy that people feel at the coming of a new individual. So after he is born, it doesn't remain limited. When he takes the first, when he is given the first solid food, that's another part of it. Then when he further grows, see, when he is initiated, then he further grows so far and he marries. So all this is biological cycle, the passage of the rituals of passage of time. The ritual, so these rituals, life cycle rituals, you see, this is one part, one constituent of Hindu rituals. The other part is puja rituals, how you offer worship, what do you do when you offer ritual. So these are two essential parts into which in Hindu rituals throughout the country, throughout India, are divided. Kashmiri Hindus may give some different names because of, as I said, lokachar, because of regional practices. But the basic thing, the basic idea, and also the liturgical aspect, the same. The mantras are the same. The processes are the same. So let us take, there are, first we have, and let's take the life cycle or passage of time rituals. Even before a child is born, there's a ritual called Garbhadan. Then there's another ritual called Simantona, and Garbhadan means when the conception is established. Then Simanto Nayan, when the pregnant wife, her hair is parted by the husband upwardly. And after that, that means to say to secure the this child which is about to be born. But in Kashmiri Pandits, we have mixed the two things. We don't celebrate these two rituals. There was a ritual called Dwaddyun, in which a woman in the seventh, a lady in the seventh or eighth month of her pregnancy would come from her parental house with with large pots of curds and other things, just to announce her pregnancy. It was just an announcement. It was not a ritual exactly, and a feast was given. But this is now completely and totally discontinued. What Kashmiri Pandits have now is they begin with this Kahanethar. Kahanethar is performed 6 days after the child is born. It is a sort of a purification bath given to the newborn child and his or her mother. It's a purification bath. So this purification, but actually it's not necessary that it will be only 6 days. It can be, no time is definitely fixed for it. It can be any time. So it's a sort of a purification bath. That is called Kahanethar. Then there's another, you see, this ritual after Kahanethar. And these variations and additions is what make give Kashmiri rituals their particular, their distinctive flavor. So we were talking about this thing. I said that there are rituals.
Right from the birth to
there are by the biological the ritual changes the biological cycle into a cultural cycle. See, the animals don't celebrate the birth of their young ones, but human beings everywhere in the world, in all cultures, celebrate the birth of a young person, of a young child, and this involves a number of rituals also. So ritual, as Professor Dayakrishnan says, in ritual, a biological cycle is changed into a cultural cycle. And so far as Hindu rituals are concerned, they start not only with a childbirth, but even before that, even at the time of conception. Kashmiri Hindus do not observe those rituals, except that some time back, it is a past tense now, that a woman in the 7th or 8th month of her pregnancy would go to her parental house and then return with large pots of curd and flavored with saffron and cardamoms and almonds. She would return, and this was, and then dinner or was thrown, a party was thrown, and people came to know that the lady is about to bear a child. So this is how the pregnancy was announced in some time back. Now it's not done. Now we don't have any antenatal sanskar.
ritual.
These life cycle rituals are called sanskar in Hindu terminology. And there are 16 or even 22 sanskars. Kashmiri Hindus do not perform all the 16 or 22 sanskars.
I have read somewhere there are nearly 40 sanskars that Kashmiri Pandits used to have at one time.
No, I'm talking of the present time. I'm saying that they do not.
They do not, right?
I didn't use the word did. So they do not. I don't know whether they perform 40, because Actually, these are the main standard sanskars
Right.
or the life cycle rituals. One is the beginning is see, they begin their this thing. Jatakaram. Hindus we call it Jatakaram. And in Kashmir, we call it Shana Sundar. Shana Sundar means the ritual bath given to a newly become mother and her child 6 days or so after the childbirth. But the 6 days, there's no limit actually. It can be done anytime. Anytime you can give a ritual bath after she gives birth to a child, and this doesn't have so much of a religious this connection, but it is one of the important rituals that used to be celebrated. I again said this also is not being celebrated now. Uh, Most of the Kashmiri Pandits, in their present state of see,
Displacement.
dispersion, I can say, in their present state of dispersion, do not can or cannot observe
Right.
all these rituals. So, but it was one of the main important Kashmiri Hindu rituals was Shran Sundar. After Shran Sundar came the Kahanethar. So this is where I messed up a little. That's why I was confused. So this Kahanethar is again a combination of Jat Karam and Nam Karan. We have the two in one here. Get one and get one free, sort of a thing. So these are two sanskars actually, but they are known as say, a Kahanethar in Kashmir. What is done is that usually when the child is about 3 years or 4 years, but this is again no restriction. This is again no there's no hard and fast rule about it. So what is done is that a golden ring is dipped into ghee, and the child is seated on the lap of the mother or the any other senior lady, and this ring is dipped and placed on its lips. When it's placed on its lips, it's supposed that he will be a very healthy and a brilliant child. It will give it intelligence. The child will gain intelligence. Mainly this thing from this sanskar. So this gold ring is placed on his lips so that he can taste a little. It can taste a little of the ghee that's attached to the ring, and then the ring is put around his neck. So that ring, that golden ring, and this ghee or is contained in a bronze vessel. It should be, rather it should be contained in a bronze vessel. So this is a kahanethar, and mantras are obviously
Right.
recited
Okay.
along with it, and I'm not supposed
So
to do that. So this is the second. I mean, I can't stop at it.
yeah, because this is a long subject. Anything else you would like to say, mention about Hindu rites and rituals, and
I want to
any
say, I mean,
comparison you would like to do with the rest of?
I think we have see, each of these subjects will take at least 15 to
Yes.
20
So
minutes.
we, in brief, we can, if you have something more to cover. Otherwise, we'll go
I'll
to
be
the next
brief.
one.
I'll be free. Then the second, see, postnatal childhood life cycle ritual that Kashmiri Hindus perform is Zarakasai. Zarakasai or Mundan or see, shaving off the hair. You see, that's one of the important thing when you among the Hindus. It's called Mundan. You can Kashmir among Hindus, or perhaps after the mantra, a hymn to Ganesh was performed. Other rituals, other mantras were also recited. But Kashmiri Hindus did not just, you see, had after reciting a mantra of this praising the Ganesh, they would get a Muslim barber, they had to get a Muslim barber to do the thing, and he was paid enough, both in cash and kind, for doing his job. For a tonsure, this tonsure of the hair. But now this tonsure can be performed anytime, even in the 10th year. And some of them perform even at the time of the sacred third investiture or Yajnapavat. So after that is Annapravish or Annaprashan, when the first solid food is offered to the child. And it's done in the same way almost, except the celebration part of it, which is social. And after Annapravesh, the childhood rituals almost come to an end. And we have the final, culminates in Yajnapavat or Upanayan. Upanayan or Yajnapavat called Mekhal in Kashmir. It is very, strange that Mekhal basically means a girdle. Mekhal or Mekhala means a girdle. A girdle of munja grass is tied on this day around the waist of the initiate to be, about the boy who is to be initiated. But Kashmiri Hindus call it Mekhal. Actually, it is Yajnapavat or Upanayan or what. Originally, it was an educational sanskar, but now it is a sanskar for teaching, for initiating one to recite the Gayatri mantra. And the Gayatri mantra is taught so that he becomes a twitch or a twice born or a real Brahmin or whatever you call it. So to make him a twice born, to make him initiated Brahmin, this sanskar, and he is taught to how to pronounce, how to recite the Gayatri mantra. Actually, it is not a Gayatri mantra. It is the mantra is Savitri, because the mantra is addressed to the sun god, and Gayatri is only the meter. And Gayatri is the meter for only Brahmins. For others, for Kshatriyas and other castes, the meter is different. So Gayatri mantra, now we know it only by the name of Gayatri. It is also a sanskar which ensures your Hindu or Brahman identity now.
Right.
More. Just as in say Chura Karan or this I just now talked of Zarakasai, you see, the upper tuft of the hair was preserved. Now it's no longer done. Upper knot of the hair. Now nobody does it. So
No, many still do. Many still do.
I didn't talk of it. So the upper knot of the hair is not there, or it's called chura, means actually chura karan means the upper knot. And there were many churas.
Right.
Not only one. Slowly it came to one, and it became just one tuft of hair to preserve one's Hindu identity. Similarly, now this mekhal or yajnapavat is performed to preserve the Hindu identity, to make the child a twice born, and to teach him the Gayatri mantra, because without being initiated into reciting the Gayatri mantra, he is not entitled to marry, not for any greater reason now.